Pass it on.
Honestly, you have been an asset to the church here in Perth and even in Melbourne or so. Like you've been given everything, like your time, your energy, everything that you have full-heartedly do you serve the Lord, and it's really appreciated. But going back to the medical or like mental things, can you say something about that? How were you feeling it? Like, how can someone know if he's passing through that? And what are the things that a person passing through that should do from your experience? What did you do?
I think it started like end of year 12 for me. I didn't know it at the time what was happening, but actually maybe after year 12. But
In university? That's where you
first year
university.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was, so I had basically depression, anxiety, so generalized anxiety disorder and OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. But I didn't know that at the time. At the time, I thought it was a spiritual attack. Like I thought, because my mind, I would always be anxious. And what that looks like for anyone who hasn't experienced, or I'm sure everyone's experienced anxiety, but for me what it felt like was you're just constantly on edge. Just constantly on edge and low mood. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep, I had really bad appetite, a lot of negative thoughts, intrusive thoughts that would come in, and I couldn't control my thoughts. And the more that I try to control them, like don't think about that, the more the thoughts would come, and I felt very alone. I would isolate myself. I would go through seasons where I would isolate myself, and sometimes I would socialize a lot to escape my thoughts, or I would sleep a lot to escape my thoughts, or so anyways, that went on for quite a while. I was put on medication for a little bit, but I can't remember what it was, but it was just to get rid of those symptoms of like the physical, just to improve my appetite and that kind of stuff. But I didn't want to be on medication, so I stopped that. It got really, really bad when I was about to go to Ethiopia, and I didn't. So while this was happening, I didn't know this was mental health issues. I didn't know what it was. I think I knew I had anxiety and stuff, but there was a lot of, I was confused a lot of the time. Anyways, I was about to go to Ethiopia, and I knew that I had to get some kind of help because I didn't want to go to to Ethiopia where I didn't understand the language, and feel even more alone and isolated, staying at home all the time. Well, because a lot of people come and visit you and that kind of thing. So I didn't want to be left feeling hopeless in that place and like going crazy. So I went to my GP, and I was like, I just basically broke down and was like, I need help, like just give me anything, I don't care. So he put me on medication again, and it really helped. It really, really helped for a while, and I think I was on that for like a year or so, because you can't do it for a short period, you need to do it for a long time. Anyways, but I also tried therapy before I went. I did one counselling session and I hated it. It was just, I don't know, it wasn't helpful for me, so it really put me off, and then I was like, yeah, nah. And then when I came back from Ethiopia, the lady messaged me and was like, hey, want to come back? I'm like, nah, I'm good. Like, the medication's working. That's all good. So anyways, I got off the medication. Things were good. Life was good. You know, you're eating again. You're sleeping again. Your mood is good. And then when I was 2018, yeah, that's when I was doing pharmacy. It got really, really bad again. So I went back. I really didn't want to go on medication. I really, really, really did not want to. I tried and pushed so hard, so I just decided to try therapy again. And then I did, and I thank God so much. He directed me to a psychologist that really, honestly, changed my life. Like, she basically helped me and, diagnosed me with OCD, which made so much sense of everything that was happening, why I was thinking the thoughts I was thinking, and why I was acting a certain way, and it helped me to put a name to what was happening with me, and helped me to identify that those thoughts did not define me, but they were just thoughts. Anyways, so that changed my life, like, literally. And I still pushed against medication, but it got to a point where even with the therapy and everything, I was just struggling to function every single day. I would struggle just because my mood was so low. I was just always anxious. Like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like your mind is on overdrive and it feels like a battle in your head. Like, and you can't focus when you're studying, you can't concentrate, you just spend ages trying to understand what's going on in your head, and you just are not able to function and get through your day well, and it just impairs your function. So anyways, I went to my GP and because I did my research on OCD, right, and I found out that the best treatment is therapy and medication together. So I did that, and so I went back on medication, and it really has helped, because I think for me it was more about going on medication just for this, like, without knowing exactly, without having all the information, if that makes sense. So that has helped actually fully investing in the therapy and doing the work, right? Not just showing up and expecting them to fix you, but you have to do the work. And then medication has helped me. I'm not saying medication's for everyone, but I do want to say that it is okay to take medication when your body is ill. You know, when you have chemical imbalances in your brain and they are impacting your daily functioning every single day. But just because everyone says, all the doctors say you should take medication, because some doctors will write you a script and say, oh, you're feeling depressed, here, take medication. That's not what I'm saying. Like, it takes wisdom, and it takes, for me it took trial and error, and it took me having to, it was a decision between me and God, if that makes sense. But that's my story. And now, like, the last year where I took a year off from studying, that really, like, I really invested my time to focus on my mental health and improve that area of my life. So it required having to be intentional.
I really appreciate you coming in and telling us your personal life experience, because a lot of people don't want to say it because there's a taboo, like especially in our culture.
Yeah.
You sense that?
100%. Yeah.
So I mean, like, this is wonderful. This can help a lot of parents, a lot of kids. Now, when you understood that you had anxiety, help me understand the process just a little bit at the beginning. When you felt it, did you talk with parents? What was the first step you took before going to the doctor?
Well, I was a youth leader at the time, and I had like a mentor at church. So we would meet up every couple of weeks or every week and just catch up and stuff. And so I would often mention what was going on and what I was feeling, even though I didn't know what I was feeling at the time. So I did have that person to talk to. I would also talk to my parents, which, was really helpful. They're really great, but they don't understand. There's no, it's kind of like, just pray about it, everything's okay, don't worry, like this. But when your body is physiologically reacting in a way that you can't control it, and your mind you honestly feel like you can't control your mind, it's like you can't just say don't worry, like it's not helpful, you know what I mean? But anyways, I'm very fortunate to have had people that I could talk to and could go to, even though they did not understand from personal experience. But I think I was also very fortunate that like a lot of my friends were counsellors as well. But I think it was that it had to get bad before I sought help. And that's what I really want to share with people, is you don't have to wait till it gets bad to seek help.
But a lot of people are afraid that, like you said earlier, you go and see a general practitioner or something, he will say, okay, take this medication, you're depressed, when you're not, because it's unlike the other medical field, like you cannot do a blood test or something and identify what is lacking, what's happening.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest fear of the parent, or also of the person who is feeling that anxiety. So, but you think it is worth trying it, going to see a doctor and get opinion?
Because in Australia, right, I don't know about the States, but we have a thing called the mental health care plan. So if you want to go see a therapist at a lower price, you go to your GP, they assess you, and then they refer you to a psychologist or whatever with a rebate from the government. So that's why I went to the doctor. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have. But then obviously they can prescribe you medication depending on it. But it's up to you to take it. You don't have to take the medication. But what I would recommend is going to see a therapist or a counselor, psychologist, whatever. But a therapist is so valuable, and I even tell people that don't have any mental health issues, why don't you go see a counsellor? Because you don't have to have something wrong to see a counsellor. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a preventative measure. This is what I want to say about mental health. Okay, when it comes to physical health, we invest in it. Right, we don't wait till, oftentimes, I mean some of us do, but we don't wait till
the last time
we are
hurting real
bad and got heart disease. And a lot of us, we know it's good to exercise, so we invest our time in exercise. We go to the gym, we work out because we know it's good for us. and it's something that you invest in, and it's like it prevents all of those diseases and stuff before they come. The same thing with mental health. For some reason, we think that mental health is only about mental illness. There's a distinction between mental health and mental illness. Mental health is your general mental well-being, right? Same as your physical health. And we need to invest in our mental health before it gets to that mental illness stage. And ways in which you can invest in your mental health is through going to see a therapist about anything, right? It could be about stress, it could be about family issues, it could be about relationship issues when you go through a really bad breakup or whatever, because they really do help you to process through what's happened. And there's a lot of scientific evidence saying that just even talking about like your problems, and I know you can talk to friends, and that's awesome but do people really listen to you? Like that's the other thing I want to say. But therapists are actually trained to listen to and actually help you feel like you are actually heard and seen, which makes a massive difference, because there are people that can listen to you and they'll try to give you advice, or they'll try to fix your problem, so anyways, therapy is
good thing.
So important.
Okay. And seeing a psychologist is good too.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about the States, but for me, like, my therapist is a psychologist, and it has been both times, because I feel like we definitely need a holistic view of mental health. And what I mean by that is us humans, we're so good at simplifying everything, our problems, when in reality everything is so complex. Because when it comes to mental health, and anything for that matter, but mental health in particular, there is because I think what we tend to do is for Christians anyways, we tend to look at mental health as only spiritual for some reason, and I think it's because mental health is quite unseen, like it's invisible. You can't see it. You can see the manifestation of it, but you can't see it like you can see a broken leg. So we tend to over-spiritualize things, and what I mean by that is we tend to neglect that there is a physical component to mental health and mental illness, because we all have a brain and we have a mind, and there's chemical imbalances that can go into play. On top of that, like your physical health impacts your mental health dramatically. And so exercising improves your mood so much, and that's why I started going to the gym this past year and investing in my physical health, because it really does make a difference. We are social beings as well, right? So having those relationships with people, and having relationships with people that we trust and that support us and that are there for us is so important as well, and that also positively impacts your mental health. Your nutrition, what you are eating, also impacts your mental health. What else? And not to say that there is a spiritual aspect to mental health as well. Your relationship with God is so important. And I 100% believe that God can, cure you of depression, and He can cure you of anxiety, and that He's fully able. I 100% believe that. And it's same with physical health. He can heal us 100% if we have a whatever. But what I'm trying to say is that we can't neglect these other areas of our lives as well. And if someone is struggling and they're suffering from mental illness, there are other things that we can do to really improve our mental health, and there is hope, and there is hope for recovery, whether that be medication, whether that be therapy, whether it be signing up to the gym, or
I have two questions. If you can just tell us this, like, there was a counselor that you saw the first time, and there was a counselor that you saw the second time, but there was a difference, right? Can you please elaborate a little bit what was the difference, and how did you like the other one to the other?
What's very important to know when you're going into therapy is that the relationship between you and the therapist or psychologist or whatever is very important. And you're not going to click with everyone. Actually, like they actually say that you need to shop around a bit, like you need to try out different therapists, because the relationship needs to be strong, there needs to be trust, you need to feel safe, you need to feel like you can be vulnerable with this person and you feel heard and all of those kinds of things. But you're not going to connect with everyone. There might be personality differences, there might be differences in beliefs or values. And so for me, the first one, I think it also had to do with the fact that I wasn't prepared to open up. And well, I mean, I kind of was, but I don't know, she didn't tell me what I wanted to hear, or like what she said would clash with what my beliefs were and things. But even though she was a Christian counselor as well. Okay. So, but the second one, I don't know, it just worked, like, yeah, I mean, we just got along, like, personality-wise, and I felt heard and valued, and no judgment as well. Not that the other one judged me, but the second, there was absolute no judgment, like, and I would share things with her that I would never tell anyone else, but like there was no judgment, and it was just a safe space, and it really allowed me to become free of a lot of the shame that I was struggling with, because, you know, when there is hidden stuff, that's where shame grows. So it was a space where I could be completely open and be completely myself, and that was so important in my recovery.
Wow, that's so wonderful. So one other question that I have is, if you start taking medication, can you stop it at one time and still be okay? Where are you now?
I had one friend who was on medication. She also has mental health issues, and she started it, and then she started feeling great. She was feeling good, right? And then she stopped it. You're not supposed to stop it just like that. You have to wean off it. So reduce the dosage. Okay. Right? But she just stopped it just like that, and she didn't consult her doctor or anything. It was not pretty, you're not supposed to do that. So I don't know how that played out, but she felt terrible. And then she went back to her doctor, and her doctor was like, don't ever do that again. Like, you can't just stop it just like that. So you have the decision is with you, whether you start it or whether you end it, but you do need to consult professionals when you're making those decisions, because it will impact your health. And it also depends on the type of medication that you're taking. So, for example, the one that I was taking, I have to be on it for a minimum of 6 months. I could have taken other ones, but this one had a lot less side effects, and it was, seemed to be a lot more, just had a higher a higher rate of just being effective. And so that's what I did. And then, but people normally stay on it for like a year at least. And yeah, it really depends, and you need to pray about it, and you need to make an informed decision and be wise about it and seek wisdom. But
how would people know when they need to seek medical assistance?
Yeah, I think everyone knows to some extent, what it feels like to feel low or to have some kind of anxiety or, a little bit of depression, or is going to experience that sometime later in their life. The issue is when it starts impacting your everyday functioning.
Mm-hmm.
So, if it's starting to last a long period of time, I can't remember how long it's supposed to be when you should start seeking help, but I would say like a couple of weeks. If it's just constant, anxiety, or just constant depression, or just a constant sense of hopelessness, that's when you should start considering help, seeking help. And I think like the thing to know is like also there is a spectrum of, mental health issues. You can have anywhere from just like, on and off anxiety and depression, which they call it like the bread and butter of psychology, and then it goes on to like, your OCD, your generalized anxiety disorder, your PTSD, schizophrenia, and when it starts getting quite up this spectrum is often when you will need that medication or quite intensive treatment. And so obviously when you're going through it, you don't know where you really are on the spectrum, but I think it's so important that we do seek help rather than not seek help. You know what I mean? Like, it's so much better, because I think we underestimate what we're going through, and we often say, I just need to be stronger, or I just need to push through, or I just need to keep fighting through. But it actually requires strength to go and seek help. It actually is a sign of acknowledging that you don't have it all together. None of us do, and we all need that help. We all need to just accept our own limits and get that help. So I would honestly recommend, if you're just struggling, if you have people that you can open up to and that you trust, it can just be anyone, and ask them to help you to get help, because sometimes making that first step is really scary.
It is.
But yeah.
Thank you so very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be interviewed, really. And more than that, thank you for being open to share your personal experience. A lot of people wouldn't share that, but it was so nice of you. You shared it for the benefit of others, so that others will benefit. I mean, like the parents, the kids, and everybody can benefit out of this. So Hannah, thank you so very much. I'm so delighted to know you. It's so good to work with you. You're doing an amazing job with the young people in Australia. Keep on. Do better and progress, especially for the years to come. I wish you a wonderful life. God bless you with everything, with your career, with your health, with your family, with everything. God bless you abundantly. Thank you, honey.
Thank you.